Hi, welcome to this channel on magnetic energy technology principles applications. This video is about scalar energy, scalar coils, all that kind of stuff. This is highly unconventional information, and everything I'm saying in this video is not new. So Nikola Tesla worked tremendously with scalar energy. It's a very controversial topic. There are top secret labs around the world that use scalar energy all the time, every single day. So many inventors, so many scientists have utilized scalar energy, tapped into it, everything else. So nothing I'm saying is new. I'm not giving away any trade secrets in this video, of course, as usual. And I just want to give a couple little pointers in case you're someone that's working with this and you're finding it difficult to get any positive results. And so I thought I'd just give you a couple little pointers as to why that may be happening. And then, of course, tied into the magnetic energy model. So when you're working with scalar energy, typically people will use scalar coils, and there are all kinds of varieties of scalar coils, everything down to really almost like microscopic. In top secret labs, there are microscopic scalar coils up to large scalar coils. And usually, for the most part, it involves a winding of one way and then a winding of the opposite way. Now, from the magnetic energy model point of view, when you have energy flowing through that spiral configuration of a wire, you're creating this torus around it, around that coil, and it's a rotating torus. Then when the energy goes back the other way, you're creating a counter-rotating torus around, so they interact with each other. And so around the other part of that coil. So we create two counter-rotating toruses that are pulsing at some frequency or resonant frequency. Now, does that sound familiar? So in the magnetic model, we have two counter-rotating toruses, and that would be tapping into the neutral energy, and Tesla knew this as well. As long as we balance out the energy, as long as we balance out the scalar coils, we will tap into the scalar energy. Now the problem is, at least in this model, anytime you are using electricity to power the coils or to run through the coils, you are automatically conflicting with the scalar energy that you're tapping into. So in this model, like etheric magnetic energy is really almost equivalent to scalar energy. You could say scalar energy is a form of that. And so what we do is we're gathering the scalar energy and then putting it to use in devices and then going back into the scalar realm. Now this is unconventional, not even using the term conventionally. In conventional physics, you wouldn't even say these things. So just keep in mind this is highly unconventional. But here's the issue, and this is what most people run into. The size of the wire, the size of the coil, the number of turns and everything, all will change the frequency of your scalar coils. And in addition to that, the energy, how much energy you're pumping into the coils. Now, it's been common for decades that it seems like the most productive result is to do high frequency pulsed DC. Now, there's a lot of logic behind that in terms of like why that would tap scalar energy. But so here's the thing, you're using electricity to generate the high frequency DC pulses. Anytime you do that, you're automatically counteracting the scalar productivity. So the trick of it is you have to hit a natural frequency or a natural harmonic of the natural frequencies in order to get a boost from your scalar coils to give you either what people will say over unity, or at least they'll get in a lot more energy than you would normally get. So now here's the problem. As soon as you change the wire size or the number of turns in the coil or the energy coming into it, specifically if you change the frequency of the DC pulsing, you are already changing so much. So the real hard work that so many people have put into this is tuning into and changing your frequencies of the DC pulsing, changing your wire size, changing your coil size, until you get those magic ratios that tend to give you a higher result of over unity, if you want to call it over unity, or just additional energy, so you get a highly efficient coil. That is the trade secrets that everyone tries to hang on to. Now, they are out there on the internet. I'm not going to give them away here because I can't get in trouble. But they are out there. Now, here's the thing. What's interesting about this is it's typically going to be with some sort of conductor, and copper wire is the most common thing that people make scalar coils with to tap into scalar energy. But in the magnetic model, when you use copper coated steel wire and you are running, and we've been doing this since the 70s and 80s, and you run magnetic current through those wires through a scalar coil, so you go back and then you go around one way and then you go back the other way, so now you have two counter rotating toroidal fields. When you do that with neutral pulsing magnetic current, you automatically tap the scalar field. Okay? So, and I've said this a million times in these videos. When you have neutral pulsing magnetic current, you automatically tap the scalar field. In fact, you tapped it so much that the real problem is, how do you contain it? How do you put a brake on it? Because you open the gates to the etheric field, or this, people say the scalar field, and now we're tapping the energy of the formation of the universe and everything. People say all kinds of crazy things because they blend conventional physics with, esoteric physics. But so this scalar field is generally neutral. There are frequencies, there are harmonics, there are pulse rates to it that make it easier to tap into. But when you're using neutral current, magnetic current, you always tap it. The thing is, what happens is you get various results and various manifestations depending on your pulse rate and how you tap it. So that's why certain pulse rates will lead to the formulation, deformulation, and reformulation of matter. They will lead to the counteracting of gravitational fields. They will open gateways to other dimensions. They will do all kinds of things you release the power of the scalar field when you change the neutral magnetic pulse rates. It's always in flow with it, but depending on how you do it and what your pulse rates are will determine how the manifestation of it is. And so a lot of times it'll just go straight to anti-gravity. Depending on what you're doing, it could manifest as light and create light. It can create matter, it can disassemble matter, it can replicate matter. So all these things that I talk about are all dependent upon the variations of the neutral magnetic pulse rates. Now that's of course more of a future thing of the technology and then of consciousness and ascension and all that. But when you're working just with typical pulsing of DC, and you've got your power supply, and you're pulsing your DC through your scalar coils, just be very aware that you have to tune them, and any adjustments that you make will require different frequencies. So it's a very tricky thing to do, and it's very difficult to get that over unity production. But people have done it for decades, and they do it all around the world today, and it's been being done in top secret labs all over the world. So please send in any questions that you have about this, and we can get this dialogue going more, and I will talk to you again.